Again, today is April 30th, 2018. We'll call this meeting in order at 7:31. Is that there you go. Thank you. Again, just for the record, the microphone was off. I apologize. Thank you for joining us for tonight's Village of Alsip Village Committee meeting. Today is April 30th, 2018. We'll call this meeting to order at 7:31 p.m. Please call the roll, please.
Trustee McGreal?
Here.
Trustee Delzell?
Here.
Trustee Pierce is not present at this time. Trustee Zielinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez?
Here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record reflect that Trustee Pierce has joined the meeting at 7:32 p.m.
All right, we'll start off. We do have a small presentation by the clerk, so I'm going to defer my report till just the petitions and communications till later in the meeting. So we'll go to the clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. As all of you know, tomorrow's May 1st, so yay, vehicle sticker season, amongst other things. New pet tags are on sale for $3. Boat launch passes are on sale. Daily is $7. Parking is $2. Yearly is $50. Corporate is $125. May 5th, this first Saturday, and June 30th, the last Saturday in June, are the only two Saturdays during vehicle sticker season that the clerk's office is open from 8 a.m. to noon. This year, we are launching into uncharted territory, so we're going to ask you to bear with us. We have put together, working with a number of people, and Eric will explain a little bit more detail. You will be able to order your vehicle sticker online for the first time. Yay! Clerk's office is really excited about it because some of the information will transfer all the way through and it will eliminate some redundancy. So Eric O'Donnell, who is the supervisor for the clerk's office building and water, will give a brief presentation, explain how we can do the stickers.
So before we get started, I just wanted to make a couple quick thank yous. Oh yeah, I'm a little short, huh?
Yeah, sorry, honey.
First to Clerk Petzel for coming up with the vehicle sticker idea. It's been really hard for me to keep it a secret because I'm really excited about it. You'll see it in a little while. A thank you to Brian Massari for all his hard work regarding this project. It's been something that's been in the works for a while, and without all of his help, we wouldn't have been able to offer this service to the residents of Alsip. A huge thank you to Violisa and Tiffany in my clerk's office for putting up with my 1,000 questions, trying to figure out how we can make it better, trying to figure out if what we have with this new program is going to work with what we already have in place. So we're pretty confident that it will, and we'll iron out the bugs, obviously, as we go. A thank you to Kent and Karen from our finance department for all their help to get everything running on the finance side of it. And a thank you to Allegra's staff for their design expertise that brought our vision into the sticker that you're going to see in a little while. And they helped us with all of our forms that are going to go out. Dan and his staff at Ryden for printing the actual stickers for us. Once we were able to see them touch them and actually be able to see our concept, it was way better than we had ever hoped for. And then finally to Tom, Phil, and their programming team at MSI, who helped us get everything up and running for the online stickers, and then taking the time to, again, answer 4,000 questions and help us with our training. So the programming that they customized for us allows us to be able to disable what online payment classes we don't want to be eligible because they need to bring in documentation. So we were able to just select seniors and the disabled, click the little button that says disable online payment, and then they were able to allow us to put exactly what we wanted it to say. So when the resident goes on, they're going to get our customized message. It wasn't something that was just generic coming from them. They'll be able to access that site through our website. There's a couple of different areas. Right on the right side there, you can click the little car, and that'll take you to it. You can also click Purchase Your 2018-2019 Vehicle Stickers. It's in two spots like that because if you pull it up on your cell phone, you're going to see that middle portion. You won't see the side portion. If you click on that middle, it's going to take you to that little car on the side. Once they do that, the residents will be able to select Alsip from the drop-down screen. The only option that will be lit up is vehicle stickers. Once they click that, they'll be prompted to enter in their plate number and the first three letters of their last name. If they are somebody that is in the class of senior or disabled, they're going to see that personalized message pop up, that residents have to be 62 years old by July 1st, 2018, and come into the Village Hall with valid driver's license in person to receive their discounted sticker. And again, one discounted sticker per household. So if you have disabled and you have senior, you get one discounted sticker per household. If it is somebody that doesn't have anything that's flagging them, they're going to get to this screen where you can check on the side here which vehicles you want to pay for. It's going to pull up everything that's registered to that plate number and to that last name. And then you're going to have 3 different options up on the left side. You can say everything is correct, mail it to the address that we have, and then it'll direct you to your cart. You can also say that all the information is correct, but you want it to be mailed to a different address. When you do that, you will get a prompt that says your address has been updated, but it's not going to be official until you pay for the sticker. And then your third option is to request a change of address. Same thing, they're going to get that little prompt on the side that the address change is not completed until the sticker has been paid for. From there, they'll be able to review their cart right there on the left side, enter in all of their payment information, and then they will see their service fee of $3. It is a $3 fee per transaction. So as long as you have, say, 5 cars and you don't separate those transactions, it's one $3 service fee. It does say that on the previous page, so they will see it before they get to this point. Once they have checked everything, they've entered in all their information, then you're going to do Pay Now. That'll process your payment and take you to your receipt screen. On the top, it's going to remind you that you're not going to see Village of Alsip on your credit card statement. You are going to see violationspayment.com, and then it's going to remind them to print that for their records. We will still have record of their payment if they don't print it and for some reason they need to see that they paid for it. And then from here, we'll be able to print reports and mail them out to the residents. And that's really it in a nutshell. Any questions? All right, then it's all you.
In past years, many years ago, the vehicle sticker was a contest amongst students in local high schools or elementary schools. 2 years ago, the vehicle sticker was the front of the book that Mayor Kitching had written. Last year, Clerk Van Huysen had designed an American flag with some poignant words in the stripes. Sorry. This year, in trying to come up with something meaningful, personally near and dear to my heart, as well as all the residents in town, I felt it was appropriate to honor those folks who put their lives on the line every day for us, be it police or fire, the dispatchers. And so this is to honor those who have retired, those who have gone on vacation to somewhere fun, and in one particular instance, a entity who served valiantly until he could no longer. So if you could hand...
We would like you to press this little side button here to the right there.
We would like to present the 2018-2019 vehicle sticker.
We were told that Eddie, although he had a badge, did not have a badge number, so we have reserved your badge number 17 for that sticker.
Thank you very much.
And
Humbled, whoever came up with this idea.
This is the clerk. This is Sergeant Resney, ladies and gentlemen. Sergeant Resney was Eddie was our canine. That Sergeant Resney was his handler. Chad, for how long did you do that? 8.5 years. Did that. Great police dog. Made some helped Chad, assisted Chad in some very good arrests. Was a major part of this community and participated in all the events that Chad went to. And we really think the world of a program like this because it was the first of its kind for the village, is having this canine program then too. So this is Sergeant Resney. This is actually on the clerk's. This is her purview. So this is her call on what she wants to design, and Sue, nice job. Really. And they come up. There's a nice dedication, something a little bit different. And again, when most folks see vehicle stickers, you get your typical flags and whatnot, and those are all appropriate. But this was very close to everyone here in our community, especially with our first responder, our police department. You assist a lot of other police departments, too. I tell you, folks, for what it's worth, too, when we did the dedication originally, when Eddie had contracted cancer and he passed away, they had to put him down. And that night, we did a ceremony here in the boardroom, and we easily had 30 municipalities that showed up here. All their dog handlers, all the canine guys all showed up from all these towns, the sheriff's department and whatnot. It was very, very nice, Chad. And it's pretty touching. And I really thought you did a nice job. Thank you.
Thank you to Chief Miller and to Sergeant Gutierrez and Officer Merlot for scouring for pictures of Eddie on the QT, and for the clerk's office staff and the board who had seen it previously, but they really did keep their lips shut. So I do appreciate it. And Chad,
I've just been taken aback by this. I really appreciate it. There's not a day that goes by where I don't think about my partner. I'll say it in front of everybody. He was one of the best dogs in this state to ever to work around here. He was truly an asset to our police department.
so everybody gets a puppy on their windshield this year.
Very good. No problem, Chad.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. And we are working on our next budget, and with the police department now, we are going to try and revive this program again to bring back another canine. And I spoke to Sergeant Resney if he wanted to do it again, and Chad said yes, but he'd like to give some of the new fellows a chance should they wish to do so as well. So we'll see what happens. But no problem, Chad. You're welcome.
And that is all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We reached public forum, part of our meeting. Anyone in the audience wish to address the board, anything on our agenda? Nobody? I saw we got a few students in the audience, and just so you folks know, too, tonight is a committee meeting, so we're actually not voting on anything, but you'll hear all of the business at hand, that what's going to happen tonight, that's all. We always vote on matters during board meetings, and that's the first and third Mondays of every month. We'll move to standing committee reports then. The Finance Committee, Trustee McLaughlin.
First, I'll have a presentation of the accounts payable for approval. Then I'll have a presentation of the payroll for approval. And then also, we have a request from the Finance Director to hire a summer intern. Kent, you want to?
Yeah, every year we have one intern. Usually it's for more than the summer, but it's actually been since the last summer that we've had one. And it's budgeted for every year, again, for more than the summer. And they help, the summertime is the audit. So we're finishing up the budget and we're doing the audit. And there's just a lot of sort of pulling records and filing, as well as there's a lot of data that you have to kind of hunt and peck for that you need in the audit. And a lot of that comes from Cook County, from the state, et cetera. So it's downloading things, it's looking for things, it's sending out email requests to different groups saying, what's the EAV of the village, or what's the, in this particular area, those types of things. So this is part of the routine.
All right, in this point in time, what is the expected length of the internship and what is the rate of pay?
The rate of pay is dependent on who we get. We've either been paying $13 or we've paid in the past $14 if we got someone who is a college student with who's gained an accounting degree. But for the most part, we end up getting with someone with some sort of finance, and that's been $13 an hour. And if we can get them to stay past the summer, we have had that. We prefer it. Usually they come in one or 2 days after the summer, and again, we've budgeted for that, but we usually aren't that lucky. Usually when the summer goes, we usually lose them as well.
Thanksgiving break and whatnot.
I had in my calendar that tonight we're supposed to talk about the temporary worker that we gave you.
Yeah, so I don't know where to go with that. We talked about that before with the temporary worker that we got. She was gone a lot, and she took off for a whole week for a family issue. Then she took off more time because she had a health issue, and then she didn't show up, and she was gone almost as much as she was here. And at that point, she was not our employee. She was the employee of the temp firm. And at that point, I said to the temp firm, look, I wish her well, but we can't have someone, who isn't here. Additionally, there were mistakes. Now, I will say, even with the interns, there's mistakes. You learn as you get older and years of experience. So I often get a lot of errors in Excel spreadsheets, but there's a difference between what we were paying that firm for their level of errors and what we pay for a temp for the level of errors, and it didn't make sense to me to continue on at that time. And I was too busy to bring on and sort of onboard another person. So I do need staffing right now with the funding policy and getting back to the budget. I just don't have time to train someone. So we'll talk about it again, but I haven't had that person for most of the time since we...
So you're not asking us at this point to extend?
Not at this point. I have to get this funding policy and as well as get back to the budget in May, and I don't have time to add yet another thing to that list.
All right.
But it will come back because ultimately it's you've done that, I'm sure, with staffing. You short term you're better off not doing it because it takes time, but an investment in somebody gives you benefits long term. So by not getting to that, you are hurting yourself, but in the short term, that's where I need to be.
So then we can agree that tonight ends that temporary employment agreement, and if you would want it again, you would bring it back to us?
I would bring it back to you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I work with Mr. Olivan every day, trustees, and I can tell you that most currently the programs he's working on between the audit was overwhelming, and then he moved on to a funding policy, and he had one or two items in between. There really was no time to train somebody at the same time, so we made that choice, as he said, temporarily to not incur more help, like full-time help like that right now. Okay, next, the Fire Committee, Trustee McLaurin.
We don't have anything specifically on the agenda right now, but Chief, do you want to talk about your emergency situation?
Trustees, one of the things that was brought up in last year's budget, and I believe was passed over at the very last minute, was the purchase of a new ambulance to replace our 2008 ambulance. Last Friday it was taken out on the expressway to try to blow the carbon out of it, which happens frequently because it's our reserve ambulance, it's our third ambulance out, so it doesn't get out as much as the other two ambulances. And it blew a rod, so the engine is shot on it. The ambulance itself, it was rechassied in 2008. It was with a diesel, Ford diesel 6.0 liter engine in it, which they no longer make. The original engine had to be rebuilt once, and they gave it a 3-year warranty on it, knowing that it was going to fail again. And that's one of the things that was talked about last year. Well, it's failed, so now that ambulance is permanently out of service. To replace the motor itself is about $10,000. To labor to put it in is anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000. Last year we ran slightly under 3,400 calls. Our primary ambulances are always out. Our third ambulance acts as a third ambulance out or a reserve ambulance in the event that one of the other ambulances are taken out of service either for mechanical or maintenance issues and put in its place as well. So now we have to come to a decision what we're going to be doing and how quick we want to do this at this point. I know we have it in the budget this year. We did put in for assistance to firefighter grant. We've been denied on it. Originally, I had $225,000 budgeted for a brand new ambulance. With the gasoline engine, which saves us about $25,000 over a diesel. And the biggest reason is with the diesel engines, they are now using diesel exhaust fluid, which is a nightmare for us. So we are going back to a gasoline engine.
Where's the $25,000 savings?
If it was a diesel, it was originally going to be over $250,000.
Oh, in the cost of the ambulance,
in the cost of the
not in
ambulance.
fuel.
Correct.
Okay.
Meeting, I spoke with the vendor last Friday when I happened to be down in Indianapolis for the show, and of course when I found out this happened. The only thing right now I believe in the price change is the Stryker Power Cot, and the load has gone up slightly. We can't do nothing about that. It's just the cost of doing business. We are meeting with him on Wednesday to determine what is our cost is going to be right now if we had to buy it today. So we know what we're going to do at this point. And I don't know if the mayor, if you had a chance to speak with the finance director on what we're going to do at this point. We cannot live with just 2 ambulances as often as they are. Yes, we do use mutual aid from time to time, but being an advanced life support provider, we are limited on who we can use initially. Surrounding us is Oak Lawn, Crestwood, and Palos Heights, and they're all quite busy. The next round out goes to Chicago Ridge, North Palos, and Midlothian. We really typically don't use Marina Park or Blue Island because they're just BLS providers. So we're limited on who we can use for mutual aid and how quick we can get them into our town. So I think we need to find a solution, and instead of waiting for the budget to be passed, we're going to have to do something sooner. The last ambulance that we bought in 2014 was actually approved prior to the budget. The main reason is we were saving $16,000. Federal lighting, Federal Signal, I should say, provided $11,000 of lighting for no cost to us because they were originally going to put it in a trade show, which they didn't, but they still provided it. And then also the upcharge for the chassis at the time also. So it's not unheard of that we've purchased something prior to actually passing the budget. If we ordered it today, we're looking anywhere from 3 to 4 months down the road. So we're still going to be that long without our 3rd ambulance. So I'm throwing up for discussion on what you think we should go. My recommendation, and again, this is barring a lot of things, is move forward with passing it, purchasing it. As far as what we're going to do is, I know the finance director has gone back and forth. Are we going to finance it? Are we going to pay it off? We got 4 months to decide that because we don't pay nothing on it until we take delivery of it. It's not prepaid ahead of time.
How many calls did that 3rd ambulance go on?
How many runs?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Probably several hundred a year. Between as the 3rd ambulance out and as the backup ambulance, yes.
Because it would also go out anytime either one of the first 2 was in this.
Correct. So it does go out frequently enough. Is it constant like the other 2? Absolutely not. But the way and back in 1999, they developed a maintenance program, a rotation program, where the brand new ambulance always goes to Station 1 for 3 years, and then it goes to Station 2 for 3 years, and then it goes into backup mode for 3 years, only because of how many runs Station 1 does compared to Station 2. So we have it in the cycle, so you get the most and the hardest mileage in the first 3 years, which is mainly the warranty years, to make sure if we have any bugs we want to find out during that time. Right now, the 2012, we are 1 year over where we would normally replace it at this point. The last ambulance was purchased in 2014, so it's actually gone 4 years in the backup or reserve mode.
And just so everybody's got a small history on this ambulance yet, too, I've been working with the chief on this. First off, this Ford ambulance that we're talking about where the motor locked up is, as Chief said, it's a 2008 unit, so it's a 10-year-old ambulance with a 20-year-old box on the back.
Correct.
Although it was in good shape. I mean,
it was rechassied once, yes.
And the chief, we put in for a grant to see if we can get some help with it. We were denied because of its age. They actually said it wasn't old enough to retire. Yeah, and that same ambulance, we've already had a motor dropped in that thing once because we had a problem with the engine before. And actually, we had somebody in the audience a couple years ago that was actually, I know the gentleman from Alsip here, and he did say that wasn't a great motor, unfortunately, but that's from a mechanic's perspective.
Right. We had it rebuilt, I believe, in 2011 because Chief Geraci was still chief, and I was deputy at that time.
You know, one thing, though, Chief, and I never, we always, let's put it this way, I just don't want to be the sticker shock guy all the time because I know that it's an expensive apparatus. But always for at least conversation, I know, obviously, you're very familiar with the equipment and whatnot. I really want to see at least what a state purchase looks like. Do we have a state purchase vehicle?
The vehicle that we use is not on state purchase. We purchase our vehicles for our ambulances and our engines. We do it for a specific purpose, mainly for our needs, and also to make sure that all of our vehicles are the same. So if you go from whether it's an engine to engine or the ambulance to ambulance, everything's the same. Not only that, we also look at the location of our service centers. Our closest service center is St. John, Indiana. There are manufacturers that your nearest service center is Iowa. That means if there's anything under warranty, it's got to go to wherever that service center is, not your closest service center.
What is the state purchase vehicle right now?
I believe Horton was the last one. And they are sold by, I think, a gentleman out of Sterling, Illinois. I think Bob Foster out of Foster Coach. I believe.
It's known as a Horton ambulance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's about 20 different manufacturers of ambulances.
Okay.
And also, when they looked at the research, they looked at how long something's going to last, so we look at that as well. The road rescue we use is about the middle of the road. It's not the cheapest, and it's not the most expensive. Ones that are less quality, and again, in my experience, I've got to see a lot of different factories. You'd replace your ambulance every 5 years at that point. So, which just doesn't make sense. So that's why, we go with the manufacturer who we go with.
So you're recommending a road rescue?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's the same manufacturer we've been using since 1999.
Chief, off the top of your head, because obviously we want to try and do what we can to support you on this, but what's the difference in price? Do you know off the top of your head?
Between what, the Horton and road rescue?
Yeah.
I have no idea off the top of my head. Depends. When you look at specs, you have to meet with them, and they'll give you a price. I don't know off the top of my head.
All right.
I mean, I think it would be beneficial for the board to know, like the mayor just said, the difference between where we're recommending versus the low-cost provider, but the difference in the lifespan between the two. Also,
Absolutely.
if we went with a higher-end one, is there an additional life expectancy out of going with a more expensive one, and if so,
Right.
what is that?
One of the things and one of the reasons, and maybe Chuck will know off the top of my head because I was still a firefighter back then, one of the reasons why I believe with the manufacturer they went with is when you started getting past that 10 years, now the components in the box start failing at that point where it's harder to get parts. Not only that, just like fire apparatus, there are standards when they build an ambulance. Part of the standards are called the KKK standards, and those are dictated by Illinois Department of Public Health as well as federal standards, as well as the NFPA standards. So when you start, the NFPA standards change every 5 years. I'm not sure about the KKK standards. So when you start extending lifespan of vehicles like that, you start getting outside of those standards. Which again, most of the standards are there for safety reasons or other reasons and built in place for manufacturing. So I believe, and Chuck, you might be able to correct me if I was wrong, I believe that's what they looked at is what would be our maximum lifespan out of an ambulance before it's time to get rid of it.
Not having to buy an entire ambulance each time, that was a real blessing. And at the time, there was no comparison at the time. I don't know if there's others that compare to it now, but we were able to avoid having to repurchase
Right.
an ambulance and just have a re-chassis, and I'm sure you had a re-chassis.
Right. In 2014, when we bought the last ambulance, the price difference between re-chassis and brand new was $15,000. The time, the 2008 that we're speaking of right now, at that time, it was a savings of, I believe closer to $40,000, if I remember right, because it was right before I got promoted.
We saved a boatload of
Yeah.
money, and at that time, that was the real in-depth with the committee to do the research.
Yeah.
Some of you may remember that. And, but, as Chief just mentioned, there only re-chassis so many times.
All right.
That was a big advantage.
And again, the biggest reason is if we switch manufacturers, it's not going to be the same interior. The equipment is not going to be in the same place because they don't make. Everybody does things differently. Every different manufacturer. Right. Is standardizing everything.
The board at the time made a decision with reason with regards to the engines and with regards to the ambulance to do exactly what you just said. For various reasons, including, safety reasons, all kinds of reasons to be able to have, not have a mixture of multiple types of engines, multiple types of ambulances, and doing the whole laundry list as to why. And the board went along with it because it was a good idea for the reasons that the chief can give you.
Okay, but majority of this board was not privy to that information.
Right.
And so, I mean, the more you can educate us,
Mhm.
the better off we'll all be.
Absolutely.
So the sooner we get those numbers, then the sooner we can.
We'll work on it this week for you. Yep. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's ordinance, the state bid. The state bid, changes from year to year depending on who gets their foot in the door. I'll double check for sure though on who the state purchase is.
Okay.
All right. Trustee, anything else?
Nope, that's it under fire.
Police report, Trustee McGrill.
Chief Miller, would you give a brief update on the 911 and also red light camera situation?
The red light camera situation is the village attorney recommended that be in our best interest just to hold out on doing anything with Gatso, just to ride out the contract for another year and then make decisions at that point. He felt it would be just more cost efficient for the village rather than getting into a legal battle at this point, and just ride it out for another 12 months and then make a decision from there. Gatso, in their defense, the numbers, while the month was not completely over yet, as of Friday they had 600 citations, which is about double what they've been giving us on average the last couple months. So their equipment is improving, and they're making obviously repairs and stuff like that as we go along. So that's all you can ask for at this point. The 911 transformation took place last week. The emergency calls went over seamlessly well. There was no issues as far as the transfers. The complete transfer took about 45 minutes. The non-emergency calls, the non-emergency phone number, took a little bit longer. We had some issues with the phone system, and thanks to Bob Ricker and some AT&T help, that was resolved within about a day or two. They pretty much worked on that thing all day long, though, for 2 days. So we got it where it's at now. It's transferring. So we're able to salvage the non-emergency number, and that's been working out pretty well to this point. So.
All right, quick question in terms of staying with Gatso. Is based on, okay, the decision, and we're going to stick with them for another year, can we go ahead and proceed with the cameras at 115th and Cicero without causing any extension of the contract?
Correct. If we go ahead and extend it, go ahead with the cameras at 115th and Cicero, and they add the second one, 127th and Cicero for the turn lanes, you're still going to be ending at an end point of July 2019.
Okay.
Okay. Do you need any direction from us then to go ahead and get those in motion?
Yes.
Should we put it as a motion then on next week's board meeting?
Yeah, that'd be fine. It'd be probably best to just do it that way.
Okay. Thank you. Great. More cameras.
Well, no, I was gonna say, what made me think about it today is I know I was coming home last night and it appeared to be a major accident at 115th and Cicero again. There was no traffic heading southbound whatsoever, and I could see all kinds of lights.
Yeah, there's some doozies over there for sure. So we'll just put it on there for next week.
That was on hold while we were.
Correct.
What's the timeline to get it up once it's approved? We're done with IDOT, right? It's approved?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. I don't know. I'd have to reach out to Rich and see what his estimation is on getting it installed.
Thanks.
The public work report, Trustee Juarez.
I have a discussion for a request to hire 6 full-time seasonal employees for Public Works for a maximum of 14 weeks, which has been appropriated within the 2018-2019 fiscal budget.
Absolutely nothing.
I would like to request an approval from the village board to hire 6 full-time temporary employees for the 2018 summer season. Each employee will work 40 hours per week for a maximum of 14 weeks at $10 per hour. Summer laborers will assist full-time staff in various operations, including branch removal, street repairs, grass cutting and weed trimming, sewer repairs, parkway tree removals, roadside cleaning, and in-house maintenance of the Public Works garage and equipment. Start dates will vary, and all employees are required to pass a physical exam and drug screen before hiring. This expenditure has been appropriated for in the 2018-19 fiscal budget. Returning employees receive hiring preference. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Mike Frater. Mike, what is the age requirement? Is it
17 is the minimum age.
17?
Mike, how many returns do you think you have?
As of right now, it looks like I have 3 returning.
So you'll have 3 spots available on your crew?
Correct. I have received several applications. So
Good.
We're going through those now.
Okay. And we're certainly still taking applications, so.
Yes.
All right.
In addition, we are also still accepting applications for our full-time vacancy and our part-time maintenance. Shanae Hunter and I have started interviews for both those positions. So at this time, those are still ongoing. We have a few more scheduled, so we'll keep you posted on that.
All right.
How many positions are open for the full-time?
Just the one.
Just one?
On that, Mayor, may I just to let the board know, Friday we had our Arbor Day event.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Mike. If you can talk about that, sure.
Friday, April 27th, we had our Arbor Day event. We held it at Hamlin School at 122nd Street in Hamlin. William Quinn and Sons Landscaping here in Alsip graciously donated the tree for the event. Public Works and staff and students from Hamlin, we planted the tree Friday. It was a great ceremony. They were enthusiastic, happy, and very thankful. They said that some of the staff said that they've been there for 30 years and nothing's ever been done over at that school before. So they were very appreciative to the village for reaching out and doing this event with them. So it was a great day. So they said to tell you thank you.
Dr. Livingston's a good guy, a good person over at Tom Livingston.
Yeah, I really enjoy when we can go out and the staff and the students are really enthusiastic like that. It definitely makes it worthwhile. So it was
Absolutely.
a great event.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you for representing us there too, Mike. Thank you.
No problem. And then just a quick update for the boat launch. The accident that had happened over the winter with the barge that is being docked over there. The 55-gallon drums have been removed. That was from the cleanup of the canal. I spoke with the Illinois contractors, the ones that are doing the repairs on the bridge. They expect the repairs of the bridge over Cicero to be done sometime next week, they hope. And then they're going to bring in a private contractor that actually handles and specializes in repairs of boat docks to make the necessary repairs out there. So we expect that to be coming soon. So, and other than that, we've had crews out doing some cleaning. We removed 2 dead trees within the property. We replaced the handrail on the staircase that leads from the facility down to the ramp. The lots have been swept and cleaned. We picked up lots of garbage along Plattner Avenue and also filled in several potholes down that route there too. So it's in much better shape. It looked pretty nice out there Saturday. So
Thanks for assisting on
Thanks,
that.
Mike.
That was great. And Becky gave me an overview. And I'm sorry I wasn't available. I was out of town this weekend, but it sounded like everything went real well. So thank you very much for your help.
It went really well.
Okay.
Really well. It was a great event for a first time doing something like that.
Recycling, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people involved, a lot of people to thank, but it went really well, I thought. So.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Water and sewer report, Trustee Dalzell.
I have no report.
Thank you. License Committee, Trustee Juarez.
I have a presentation of license and review from April 10th through the 27th, 2018, and we skipped building. We skipped Trustee Zelinski.
Oh, I apologize. You're right. Okay.
I thought I was
All right.
using it.
I'm sorry. We'll go back to the Building Committee, Trustee Zelinski.
Yes, I have a discussion to request approval to hire 2 part-time summer helper employees for the building department for a maximum of 14 weeks each, which has been appropriated within the 2018-2019 fiscal budget. That's all I have today.
And how are we defining part-time?
The 14 weeks at 40, it's full-time, but they're not, they're only here for the 14 weeks at $10 an hour.
And
$10.
and this is the scanner position, right?
That is correct.
Okay. It's just we should be consistent between, if everybody else is listed as full-time for the 14 weeks.
40 hours.
So this is really full-time for 14 weeks at $10.
So
an hour.
seasonal.
We're going to use that scanner that you approved.
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm.
And again, what Trustee Pierce is referring to is we are updating a lot of our old records and whatnot. So there's a lot of interior scanning and whatnot, so you're not necessarily outside all day and so forth then too, so. All right. The License Committee where we went, Economic Development, Trustee Pierce.
Yes, we have Roger Hopkins and Chris Manheim here to discuss and review the revised retail business target on the Pulaski Corridor TIF District.
Go, Roger.
Yeah, and I had Erica send out a memo with all of the information we had. I've got paper copies here if you'd like one. And then I also have a new kind of retail flyer too, so you can kind of look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All I need is a retail flyer, thank you.
All right, Mike. This looks like a handier microphone, and then if I have to do any writing, then I'll have it available. If you go to the last page in the handout, that's the retail target list that we adopted with the retail development and marketing plan that we put together for the village back in 2016. And I've identified some of the green ones on here as things that I believe, either were victories or something that we should add as new. Yellow is something that we need to reflect some changes in the way those retailers like to position their stores, and the red ones are ones that probably we would eliminate from the list altogether because of acquisitions, mergers, or other issues with the businesses, some of them going out of business completely or some of them choosing not to really want to even look at this market. They should probably be excluded. Start, up at the top. I really haven't made any changes under general merchandise, but I did kind of give you the indication that generally a Myers store might be something that would be very desirable for this market, but since they require a 20 or so acre site, about the only place you can put them in Alsip is on maybe an industrial redevelopment site that's along one of the major corridors, and on Pulaski Road it would be south of the railroad tracks. So there's really nothing north of the railroad tracks in the TIF area of the retail of the Pulaski corridor that would really appeal. Dollar General is something that's identified as a possibility, but again, they require a little larger site. With the presence of grocery in their stores now, they're not compatible with the Food for Less lot or probably any of the outlots on the Jewel site because they'd be rejected by those retail centers. And some of the rest of the potential locations are somewhat questionable because Family Dollar is kind of a tight fit, and Dollar General being in the corridor might be something that would more likely go, again, to kind of second-generation space. You get down into the restaurant lists, and we're trying to cover the, the whole area of full-service restaurants and quick-service restaurants. Quick-service restaurants appeal to the Pulaski Road corridor because the sites are smaller along Pulaski Road, and there aren't the regional draws that draw people to the full-service restaurants, which are the hotels and the higher traffic volumes and the other destinations that are along that Cicero Road corridor, or even 127th Street with the hotels. Going down to clothing shoes and accessory stores. All of these stores now for a market like Pulaski and Alsip are looking for second-generation space. So even though we would like to recruit them to be in a brand-new building, maybe a strip center, and that is probably the number one type of retail business that residents asked for when the Pulaski Road quarter plans and the comprehensive plan were developed back in that era, in the early 2010, 2012, 2014 era. They're the stores which are struggling right now with being competitive with Amazon and with online retailing. They also like to cluster around regional or at least community type shopping areas or shopping malls. And the market pretty much has defined those areas as essentially the intersection around Crestwood, the 95th Street corridor, and the Pulaski Road and Cicero corridors going into Oak Lawn and stretching from Oak Lawn to Chicago Ridge. And then you get a little bit further out, and you get over to I-57, and the intersections with either 127th Street or 119th Street. Those malls tend to be, the clusters where apparel and accessory and shoe stores locate. But we're still going to at least talk with some developers and talk to the brokers for Food for Less, because the site that could most ordinarily attract a cluster of those stores to about a 20,000 square foot building that the Food for Less site could support would be these smaller 2,000 to 6,000 square foot store types, or one of the 20,000 square foot stores. The real challenge with those is, again, getting somebody to build new construction and find retailers that are willing to pay that higher cost rather than second generation or used space that would be 10 or 15 years old. Specialty stores are, again, also in that same category. All those retailers generally prefer renting used retail space. Groceries, well, we have them on our list because the Pulaski Road and 123rd Street area is already a kind of a food magnet because of the 3 grocery stores there. Probably the most likely one to locate in the corridor at all is going to be a health food store or a vitamin store. And then finally, we've got all the auto parts stores that are already up and down Pulaski Road in terms of retailing. And so Advance Auto now is already taken over one of the other auto parts stores and rebranded it essentially. So the one new one to the market would be Christian Brothers Auto, which I think is maybe more like a Pep Boys or an O'Reilly's, something of that nature. And whether or not the Pulaski corridor would be attractive to that, or we would even want to pursue them, is another question. So the other list in that memo is really, who are we probably seeing as the most likely gaps in our market right now, and that's chicken in terms of some of the restaurants and maybe a craft brewery or restaurant. In the specialty stores, it's probably aiming at the fitness businesses because they are the ones that are still more actively opening up new locations. The fitness craze is still popular with both employers as well as with younger people. So the 2 other retail businesses that are generating new branding opportunities for themselves are the TJ Maxx business is now starting to market under Sierra Trading as another alternative to Home Goods, TJ Maxx, and Marshalls. And then Ross Dress for Less has added DD Discounts, and they're actually co-locating with some Ross Dress for Lesses in some shopping centers. But again, they tend to be more of the community or regional shopping malls. And so getting them into a non-community oriented shopping center is still going to be a challenge. And mattress stores. Mattress stores have been somewhat become overpopulated. We don't have one of the national brands here in Alsip yet, so that might be a good companion use, for example, for Firewater it's something we've talked to them about, as well as the kind of GNC vitamin health food store as maybe a candidate. But even if they can't fit into one of those firewater spaces, we've got other opportunities with Howie Chernosky's center at 115th Place, and then the renovated affiliated management mall that'll be at 122nd, next up Pappas Restaurant. So, and then some of the smaller users could be, for example, in the retail space that will be opened up with Health on Earth Wellness. And then for vacant lots now, we're marketing the old Edka car lot and the lot in front of Jewel. And we would hope maybe we could come up with a Starbucks. Right now the issue with Jewel that we found out is that Jewel likes to at least have Starbucks look at putting an in-store Starbucks into Jewel stores. And what we would really like them to do is open up a freestanding location, which we think would appeal to the northbound traffic, is generally considered the attractive traffic. That's why all your Dunkin' Donuts are on the northbound stretch of Pulaski Road, because that's where the morning commuting traffic is headed up to Oak Lawn. So, questions or other ideas or suggestions, or why aren't we looking at this store or that store?
Do we have any updates on the destruction of the car wash that we approved over a month ago? And
Pardon me?
Demolition of the car wash.
Yeah, the demolition of the car wash. We approved that over a month ago, and
Yeah, we got permits from the county. You can't just take it down the county. They take a little time to get.
so it's going to
It's in the process, yeah.
Okay. What about the facades? Can we get an update on? We
We've
have two
been,
storefronts that we're supposed to be redoing as well.
Chris has been in touch with Rim Marukas, but he doesn't seem to have any interest in pursuing it, at least that's been expressed to us. We've been talking more with Studio K and Dr. Matthews Dentistry. They seem to have some interest, but they take a long time in their decision making.
What about the Burrito King Chinese one on 100?
That's going to be underway soon. We approved the redevelopment agreement, and back in, I think, early or mid-February or early March, and so they're supposed to be starting sometime between now and mid-May.
And when is Firewater going to break ground? Do they?
They've got apparently an understanding to incorporate that Studio K parking lot, and so that's been the one thing, along with lining up their final financing commitments, have been, because they needed to address that lot according to our redevelopment agreement in one fashion or another, and it looks like they'll be incorporating that into the development plan, which will take a gravel parking lot off the enforcement list from a building code standpoint, and really upgrade the appearance of that site. Those are all in process, and we thought they would move more quickly, to be honest with you. But we all thought spring would come more quickly, and we thought the leaves would be out on the trees by now, usually.
Well, tentatively, we were shooting for April 15th and the closing date with that, and they asked us for a few weeks to extend.
Right.
Have you heard anything else in the past week?
Just that they seem to have come to an understanding with Studio K.
Okay.
So.
What we're talking about, too, folks, is we're anticipating a new restaurant being built at 117th and Pulaski. And again, that's what Roger was just saying. They're lining up their finances right now so we can close on that deal. But yes, we have put in for permits to tear down that dilapidated car wash. And at the same time, the environmental study on the house on 120th and Hamlin, that's slowing us down just a little bit, but we're going to move on whichever one we can first, that's all. So.
And then with Health on Earth Wellness, they called us last week and said that they're still waiting on their architect to finish the drawings. The architect got inundated with some other projects, so he's hoping to have those finished drawings ready for the doctor to review and approve, and should be getting things underway by mid-May. So.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Dan Tribin. Can you give us a timeline on the water main for Pulaski?
The engineering is in progress. I'll get an update as to when we're looking to go out to bid on it. I'll try to have that ready for your next meeting.
Thanks.
The engineering is in process.
Right. Thanks.
Anybody else?
I don't recall us agreeing to anything for that Hamlin.
For what?
We passed that about, like Trustee Zelinski said, about a month or so ago, that we're going to knock down a house on, near 120th between,
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
there you go, right,
That one.
right.
Okay.
And I was hoping to have that already, but Roger, our building commissioner, was in a couple weeks ago with the environmental study folks, and they said it might take just a little bit longer to get that prepared.
These justice reports I will be filing with the Cook County for demolition permit, so that we move forward on that house. As soon as I get demolition permit for the car wash, contractor is ready to go. As soon as I have that demolition permit in hand, make the phone call and
We really,
I was confused. I thought about the old Petopolis property.
no, and we really want to, obviously, once we take down that old car wash on Pulaski, we want to have the opportunity to put up a for sale sign. Obviously, that's our first move, to entice people to let them know we're trying to get rid of this property and stuff then, too. Right now, I mean, there's no point in going through that when there's going to be construction equipment there. And the way they're going to leave it for us when they're done, this will be just a gravel parking lot once it's completed. So it'll look cleaned up, just flat gravel on the lot and stuff then, too, so. Okay, well, thank you, Roger. Thanks for the report then, too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Chris.
Moving along, planning and zoning, Trustee Zelinski.
No report tonight, Mayor.
Trustee, I wanted to get back to you and let you know, I've been looking into this, and I actually did confirm with legal as well. Joe Kankar, he and I talked. I was out for a couple days last week when the building commissioner came back. Roger, we're going to meet tomorrow and talk about that signage for Swaparama. That's not a plan and zoning matter, it's a matter for your office instead. Legal confirmed that.
I have been in conversation with them for the past 7-8 months, and I did tell them that it was too big. It did face 294, so we can have that conversation and go from there.
Okay.
I guess why is it not a planning and zoning?
Because it doesn't qualify for it. In other words, we've already got a definition of what size it needs to be, and you can't have a plan and zoning commission just give you a variance on an oversized sign. We've already got a definition for it and stuff then too. In other words, we're gonna stick to what the ordinance is.
Okay. Because I know based on what they were asking for, it exceeded what we could approve with
Right.
their recommendation.
Exactly, right. But according to legal, he says that you can't just override a sign to say, in other words, without Roger approving this yet too. His office has to be involved.
Okay.
All right, then we'll move on to the special committee reports, village properties. Trustee McGlawhorn.
All right, under Village Properties, I have a request to hire 6 full-time seasonal employees for Village Properties. It would be split, 2 for Village Hall, 2 for Heritage 1, and 2 for Heritage 2. And that would be for 14 weeks at the standard $10 an hour. Anything else?
Raj, how many positions do you have available? You got people coming back?
Right now, just possibly the 2 in building, but I do have one. I've got some applicants that would already be fulfilling.
Okay.
All my guys are returning for Heritage 1, Heritage 2, and Village Hall. And like I said, I do have applicants that I've already taken for the building.
All right.
If it is given tonight.
Okay. And when do we anticipate the pools at the complexes opening?
The pools always open up on Memorial Day.
Okay.
And then they close the last mid-October, so 22 weeks. And we always put up notices to let these tenants know that it's open on Memorial Day and it closes whatever that Friday, the 3rd Friday in October is.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Moving on then. The Insurance Committee, Trustee McGrill.
No report.
The Ordinance Legislation Committee, Trustee Pierce.
No report, Mayor.
IT, Trustee Dalzell.
No report.
Human Resources, Trustee McGrill.
I have no report.
Trustees, just so you know, too, the Human Resource Manager will be out of the office for some time. Did you get a message on that? I was informed of this morning. and she'll be out of the office for a few weeks. And obviously we don't want to violate any HIPAA, but she's going to be out of the office it's an excused absence. And in the meantime, Heather will handle her duties. She's here the majority of the day. If for any reason something's late in the day, anybody can defer to Kent. But the clerk's office has been asked to forward everything to Heather for right now. Then we'll move on to the health and pollution. Trustee Pierce?
Yeah, I put this one on here. I have scoured this book for an ordinance on flags and cannot find one. First of all, she left. I want to thank Becky because she took care of a situation on Pulaski with one of the businesses and really dilapidated flags and things that, had the commander of the American Legion calling me and, other people emailing Roger and I believe yourself, about that. She took care of that, but about a week ago, I found out another business on Cicero now has slot machines. And the reason why I found it out is because I ran over their flag on Cicero Avenue that said slots. I think this is something that needs to be addressed in the village, especially, on our two corridors with, flags and banners, their condition and really how they're staked down. The one business on Pulaski that Becky took care of, the grommets on the flag broke and the American flag was flying upside down. So you can imagine the calls that we got with that. So I don't see an ordinance in here for flags and banners, but I think if we don't have one, we need to put one together.
I thought we did, Roger. We cleaned that up a few years ago with with the previous police chief. He brought in a matter and we worked quite a few things out with that, no?
That I've been able to find in
All right, then, Trustee, your point's taken, then we're going to work on that.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Roger, we'll talk about that then as well, because I agree with them. We did say that there can be an administrative approval for a sign or a flag, but, because we've seen people want to put a balloon up or something like that based on its conditions and where it's going to be placed, but you're not supposed to be able to just put something in the parkway without permission, which is why they have to put that request into your office and stuff then, too. So we'll certainly take people to task on that. We'll start with that. All right?
Yep, thanks.
All right, thank you. Traffic safety, Trustee Dalzell?
No report.
All right, I pushed my report back, obviously, to get to the other. I just want to report on a few things here. We just addressed the swap-a-rama issue. Roger and I will be talking about that. Quickly, I did get a notification today, and this did just arrive today, that CETA, CETA is also known as the Community and Economic Development Association of Cook County. They again are announcing their 2018 scholarship program funded through the Community Services Block Grant. This provides financial assistance for income-eligible students enrolled in post-secondary educational programs. The Community and Economic Development Association of Cook County is currently accepting applications for the fall semester or quarter. I'm going to have this out in the kiosk out in the hallway. There's a copy of the 2018 scholarship application as well as a flyer and additional information. We're going to display this for everyone to take advantage of it. Applications must be received by CETA. They're located at 3518 West 139th Street in Robbins by 5 p.m. on Friday, June 8th, 2018. And there's also a phone number here if anyone has questions. And very quickly, the most important thing here is guidelines. And what I was looking at here, who is eligible for the scholarship program? It says the scholarship is available to any suburban Cook County resident who is enrolled in a post-secondary institution by September 15, 2018, and living in a household that is determined to meet income eligibility guidelines. There's a chart here that folks can defer to, and just quickly, like say, for instance, if you lived in a family size, if you had 4 people in your house and you had a gross income of $31,375 per year, you would fall in that category. So I'll put all this information out on our kiosk out in the hallway. I'll Becky post this. And again, should you be interested or know anybody interested in this, please take advantage of this program. Next, I have been in communication with a couple of high schools, both Shepherd and Eisenhower High School. what I was asking is student participation in a board meeting, maybe our second board meeting of this month, which would be May 21st, and let students, we're going to want to take 8 positions. So you got 6 trustees, a mayor and a clerk, and 4 students from each school. We can certainly draw from a hat while they're make it fair, who takes what position that evening. We can bring them in around 6 o'clock at night, give them an overview of what the village hall is before the meeting, depending on who is selected to sit by who. We can go over an agenda and show them what we expect that evening, or if we wish to have a chat or contest something before we vote on something, and we'll let these folks sit on it for the evening and stuff then too. But I want to kind of keep it simple. I want to do at least once this year. Next year I want to do it a couple more times. But let's get a couple schools involved. This way we're not just, I know some of the seniors are going to be gone, so I'm not sure if any of you guys are juniors, but maybe you can get in on this then too. But I'm deferring to both vice principals at both schools, and I hope to have this ironed out by the end of this week and stuff then too. So we exchanged emails last week, so hopefully this will take off. Next, I want to remind everybody, we have our village-wide cleanup day, May 12th, that we're asking anyone who would like to come out and volunteer. It's a Saturday from 9 till noon. Meet here at the Village Hall. We'll pass out vests if you're going to be in an area that might require a vest for high visibility. We've got garbage bags, gloves, and whatnot. And I've actually gotten a nice donation. Should we have some good participation or not? We'll have some money for maybe some pizzas afterward and so forth then too. But we do have a local business that stepped up and said they don't have anybody available that day, but they'd like to help us anyway, and we were very appreciative. I spoke to, this just came up as well, we do have a small issue here, which we're going to work on this on a temporary basis. Because we consolidate our 911 dispatch to Oak Lawn, we're not going to have anyone in our dispatch at night anymore, because everyone leaves pretty much by 4 or 5 o'clock of full-time employment over in the police station. What happens, folks, is we utilize all of our conference rooms for people in the community. It might have homeowner associations and whatnot. It's free of charge, but we allow them to use our conference rooms upstairs. I've asked the clerk's office earlier. You weren't around. You weren't around today. But for folks that want to utilize those same rooms, I said for right now, let's consolidate those to a Monday evening, like when we're here. That if they get in here by 6:30, we have somebody at the front desk till 8 o'clock anyway. We can use those rooms, and they just let themselves out when they're done. Because even when we had the police department up there, there was nobody necessarily monitoring when they left, but it's to let them in the building. For right now, that's the only solution I have, because we don't have personnel here right now to do this kind of thing. Or if they can do them during the day, would be great too. But if it's got to be an evening meeting, or I'm asking everybody to do it on a Monday night, I just want to let all you folks know that's what we're going to do for right now.
But don't we have to leave the doors unlocked until they're done?
On the way in, after
Okay.
in other words, when this meeting's done, we can actually lock them. That's all they were doing before. They were just letting themselves out.
Okay.
Yeah. So this way we have an idea who's coming in. Lastly, got some good news today. Becky must have stepped off for a minute, my assistant. The car wash that went up at 121st and Pulaski. And forgive me, I don't have their name in front of me right now. But what is it?
Clearway.
Clearway. Clearway is opening up this Thursday, the brand new car wash. Clearway is going to wash your car for free until May 23rd. So anybody who wants to get their cars washed, free car washes from Thursday until May 23rd.
Wow.
Okay, to break that in. And a great way to introduce them to our community, and I wish these guys well. This is going to be similar to what EcoBrite is on Cicero. It's got a lot of vacuums and so forth, and a nice full car wash that you go through at the same time. After the 23rd, he's going to start promoting package programs where you can buy a card or a membership, so forth, that kind of thing too, so you can take care of that. But he's going to wash cars from Thursday until May 23rd for free. So we welcome them to town. Trustees, any presentations, petitions, or communications?
Couple just from myself, if you don't mind. To piggyback on the May 12th Community Cleanup Day, the Alsip Marionette Park Library will have a shred day from 9 to 11, informationally. I think it's 1 box of paper to shred per vehicle. Also, I just wanted to take a moment to remind the board that please, please, please as much as possible, deadline for items on the draft agenda is Thursdays at 2:30 p.m. If come Friday morning you have not seen a draft agenda in your village email, please email myself and Erica. We've had some issues with emails going to non-village email addresses not coming through as clearly as possible. Secondly, the deadline for changes, additions, supplements to any of the agendas is Friday at noon. We have to put the agendas together, and then the packets need to be put together. At times they are too large, and we have to involve Brian from IT to make a link. The agendas, when they're sent out on Fridays, not only are posted in Village Hall, but we have to notify newspapers. So we really, unless it's a dire emergency and something desperately needs discussion and has fallen through the cracks, we've got to stick with these deadlines. Otherwise, we are making errors and sending out numerous drafts and numerous agendas because something gets added last minute. So please do your best to adhere to the timeline.
Speaking of deadlines, I saw your email about the economic interest statement. I didn't get that email from the county. Is that something you can send to me, or?
Look back. The first one came April 4th. That was due tomorrow, and in the email, it should have come to your village email address.
'Cause you get a
There's
user
an
ID
ID number,
password.
and it's not. I can't.
So
forward-
tomorrow is the deadline?
Yes.
Okay.
But you do it on, well, you can still do
I
it
can
on
still
paper.
do it online. Oh, you can do it on paper.
One last communication too, folks. Again, my assistant stepped up. I want to really thank Becky Smith. She did a great job representing my office. This past Saturday, we had a real good turnout. She showed me some pictures earlier for a recycling day that we helped sponsor through the Link and Leverage Committee, which actually is comprised of all other village taxing bodies as well, because now you've got my office, police, fire, public works are involved in all that. Mike, thank you again for your help on that as well. We've got the libraries, the schools, the park district was out there, as well as Moraine Valley College. Stephanie Pressler did an awesome job on behalf of Moraine Valley College. And who else should we mention? Republic Garbage. Who was the other garbage guy that helped us out, though?
There was somebody that was collecting the TVs, the e-waste, yes.
Everlight was the hauler
Yeah.
on the e-waste.
AMVETS had a truck there.
And we were accepting everything. We were accepting eyeglasses, prescriptions, obviously prescription drugs rather, and things like that yet too. Fire department came out and helped out. So I want to thank everybody. We'll post that on our website with a big thank you to all folks. But I heard it was good. Oh, Lucky Dog. Becky lined up Lucky Dog hot dog. They had a hot dog vendor out there with a great truck and all that kind of thing then too. So no, that worked out real well. Oh, in the school, I heard a couple of the school principals came out and helped out too as well. Great. Any unfinished business, trustees?
I have a couple things, Mayor.
Yeah.
First of all, I mentioned after the meeting last week, are we going to come to any kind of conclusion or whatever for the Keltron system? Are we going to bring that up in the next meeting or something?
We actually are. Actually, I'm working right now, and I actually deferred to Trustee McLaughlin, because she's the chairperson for fire.
But we are under contract, and until we are at the end of that contract, the last thing we
when
want
that
to do
is?
is get caught with any penalties just along the same
I'm going to
lines
have a
as
copy
the-
of that contract for everybody. I'm working on that tomorrow. Today was just overwhelmed. We had a few other fires to put out. But we're going to confirm on where we stand on that Keltron contract before we make any decisions. And I'm going to work on an exit strategy from there out and see if the board wants to approve that or not.
Thank you.
Okay.
The other thing, Kent. Yes. The budget, how far off are we?
Again,
Park.
I've been working, I'm hoping May I'm going to do both projects. I'm going to work on both, getting as far as I can on the budget, and hopefully it gets done in May.
How far off are we?
Oh, dollar-wise?
Yes.
A lot.
Okay. I have a suggestion. I would like, you're always saying we got to sharpen our pencils and all this other kind of stuff, but I feel as though you should throw it back to the department heads because they're more knowledgeable on what they can do without. instead of us up here deciding what they can do without, because we don't deal with what they deal with.
And we do that. We do that in a number
So-
of steps through, and we will continue to.
Why, instead of, having them giving us a Christmas list and having us say no, 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 no to everything because we don't have any money, why can't we have them shave it down beforehand and get within maybe, 5% or whatever of last year's budget? That way we have a better handle on the budget, number one, and number two, they have more control on items that they think are more necessary than others.
Your point is well taken, and that's what we usually do. We start off with something, I won't call it a Christmas list. I will say, we'd like to have this, we'd like to have this. We bring it down quite a bit with meetings before we bring it to the board, and we've done that. And then I usually sit down with them, we go further, and then usually that still doesn't get us where we have to go, and we usually go add the mayor to those conversations and then back to the board. I mean, it's so many different levels to get it down to where it needs to be. But
Last year we were within a 1.6 million that we had to take off.
Right.
It'd be nice if, you gave more control to the department heads.
I've already started those conversations with some of the department heads to prioritize what's important, so we're doing that already. Yeah.
Okay. And then you guys already took care of the red light cameras. I just wanted to make sure that because the install is on 115th and the right-hand turn camera on 127th, because I believe 127th went through in December, the okay for it, and the okay for 115th Street, like she brought up, Trustee McLaughlin brought up, there was a terrible accident on 115th, and we already know that those things help reduce
We understand that, and we do know that we have a 3-year contract with them. In other words, that contract expires next July of 19, provided they had the camera up. And the reason they're going to put the camera up now is because the question was their performance lacking? And it was. Now, as the chief reported today, they've corrected the cameras, because that was, obviously you can break your contract for cause. Cause would have been the ill performance of the equipment. The equipment's working better now. And, we do have in other words, even if they put up the camera for a year, so be it. That contract's good until July of 2019.
It's also lost revenue as long as we're dragging our feet.
Well, you wouldn't be putting up cameras, though, if you were going to cancel the contract for a cause. So. Becky, real quick, before we wrap up here, again, I want to thank you for all your help over the weekend. That was a lot to take on, you and the Lincoln Leverage Committee. We're certainly going to post all that on the website, too, as well. Right. Trustees, any new business? None? Then, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, can I just say one thing to Clerk Petzel? I just want to thank you and congratulate you for that vehicle sticker. That was really creative, and it was very nice way to honor them. So I appreciate it and all the help that you got with it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I second that. Great job.
All in favor of adjourn? Okay. We're adjourned, folks. Thank you for your patience this evening. It was a long meeting, and we'll adjourn at
8:48 p.m.
8:48. Thank you.